Hello, I'm Rachel Gardner-Paul, Head of the General Aviation Unit at the UK Civil Aviation Authority. As General Aviation starts flying again following COVID-19, we thought we'd ask some of you, including some of our government GA ambassadors, what you think the future holds for general aviation, and also include some safety tips to help us all as we return to the skies.
Quick introduction. My name is Jonathan Porter. I am a director of Metal Seagulls, and here in the UK we provide people with kit aircraft parts and engines and associated materials and assistance with building their own aircraft, as well as being LAA and BMAA aircraft inspectors. I also do test flights on new planes for the LAA as well. So, flying background. I took my first flight, it was a trial flight out of Sywell Aerodrome in 1988 in a Cessna, and it lit a fire inside me, a passion you can't describe to anybody else. It was just like, bam, aviation is what I'm interested in. Over the next few years I built a plane, ended up setting up an airfield in West Africa, building planes, humanitarian outreach, airdrops into villages, teaching people to fly, camera work, all sorts of brilliantly fun stuff. The lighter end of flying just excites me. I've actually been privileged to be at the controls of a DC-8 over the Sahara Desert. I've also had an opportunity to fly in Aeromaki trainer jet. But most of my flying hours have been in small aeroplanes, 2-seat, under 600 kilos mainly, and totally flying the plane, feeling the air, enjoying the total sensation that comes from that three-dimensional aspect of flying. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of lovely weather and flying opportunities this spring due to COVID-19. And it's unusual not to be able to fly in the spring. This adds a whole new range of new problems to pilots and aviation in general, because when we lay our planes up in the winter, we don't have nesting and all those spring activities that take place. So this time round, we've been dealing with birds who've made nests, insects, rodents, all coming out, finding places to live. And you've got these lovely dry hangars where the aeroplanes have been locked up with nobody around. And there's a massive risk of wildlife having made its nest there, maybe laid eggs, had chicks, maybe chewed some wires. So when you go to do your pre-flight, go with the expectation that you're going to find a problem. Take the cowlings off. If you've got a glory hole to get into your fuselage, get in there, have a look. Do as thorough an inspection as you possibly can. Check within all your hinge areas. If you can, look down inside your wings. If you've got a place where you can see, look down there. Inspect every place you can. It's a good opportunity to also wash your plane, because when you wash your plane, you're getting intimate with the aircraft and you've got this opportunity to see things you might have missed. Personally, the day I prepare an aircraft after a long layup, I will not fly it that day. I will get it all prepped. No matter how good the weather is, I will go home and sleep on it. Like when I test fly a brand new aircraft, or an aircraft that's been repaired, I will inspect it ready for the test flight, but I will not then fly it. I will then go and sleep, and then the next flyable day, go again, a pre-flight, in and off I go. And I find that really helps me to lower the adrenaline, because if you've done that big inspection, you're going to be tired, and also you're going to maybe just want to go flying. Now, if you've gone away, you've slept on it, you've thought about it, you are going to be a safer pilot when you get in that plane and get hold of a stick and off we go. Fuel, of course, you could have condensation, you could have water in your fuel could be stale, might be worthwhile flushing your fuel out depending on how long it's been in there. If you've been running on MOGAS, you've got winter fuel, and of course we're no longer winter conditions. So you've got all sorts of things to take into account with your fuel systems. Pitot systems, check there's nothing blocking your pitot or your static ports so that you get correct readings on your instruments. What else would I think about? Obviously tyres, because plane's been sitting, might be worthwhile just moving the plane forward, see if any flat spots have developed. Just move it, and generally speaking they will just work their way out. That's the nature of tyres. But it's good to know what's happened, where it's been sat, and also to check under where it's sat. You might have a little toad living under there. Just before you go flying, check everything you can, be safe. Another point, muscle memory. Muscle memory is a big deal. So you've got muscle memory in your hands and you've got muscle memory in your legs. When you fly, you have established a natural reaction, and not flying for a number of weeks, there's a strong chance your muscle memory's out. So check your seat position. I had a chap call me up saying he thought his plane had a rudder issue. And after we talked about it, he was saying he didn't feel he had enough rudder authority. And when we chatted, it turned out that it was seat position or a cushion that he normally had. And just he's not flown for so long, he didn't think about it. And just in the chat, and always feel free to call people to chat about things that concern you, because we can share ideas. But just know his leg was used to going a certain distance, and that was a distance with a different seat position. Likewise with your throttle, all of those little fine movements, particularly coming into land, you will find, they're not quite as sharp as they used to be because it's muscle memory. It's always a good idea on your first flight through. Again, personal choices. I tend to do a low pass on my first approach. Get that feel, get down into the ground effect, have a good feel, then go around, come back and land. And I find that jogs my muscle memory for that flare moment, the round out flare touchdown. Lovely stuff. How are we all going to recover? Let's be absolutely honest. COVID-19 has hit us all sideways. It reminds me a little bit of when we dealt with Ebola, living in West Africa. It created uncertainties and concerns. We will come through the other side, but it will leave us marked with a different approach. And it's clearly going to be affecting the airlines for many, many years. But GA, I've got a little sneaky feeling deep inside me that GA could actually do really well out of this new way of living. You see, it looks to me like we've got a few people on furlough, so they're flying more, which is good. When we're allowed to go out more, airfields are outdoor places where it's easy to socially distance. So I can see us, for example, bringing our children to airfields to watch the planes. You're outdoors, you're there, you've got your own little space, you can be socially distanced and enjoy seeing something new. For people who maybe they're a little bit older and their employers maybe it's time to take early retirement, that little extra caution with people a little bit older. Flying is a fantastic activity to take up in your later years because you've got time in your hands, and there's an amazing camaraderie around everything aviation. We do like to support each other and make a family of it, and I think this is a real opportunity for the industry to put its hands out and to say, look, we're a club. We're an aviation club. We have a lot of old members. Let's call them, see how they are. Creating that community, which should be in every aviation club and in aviation in general. We are a big family. But we've got an opportunity to care for each other, socially, emotionally, intellectually, but also as things go on, to share our passion of flying with those people who may have a change in their employment status and maybe their retirement opportunities, maybe not travelling overseas. Instead of spending money on that holiday, spend money on learning to fly. I see that as something really fantastically potential, which means we've got opportunity for some of these young people who had been aiming to go into the airlines to become flying instructors. Some of the airlines might lay off or early retire some of their older pilots, giving opportunities for younger people to come in. I don't know how it will play out, but I do know that if we seek the positives, we have amazing opportunities in general aviation and the family that we are. The aviation industry is more than just flying. The aviation industry is absolutely amazing. Just start from the very beginning. We've got material science. Obviously, we all know about aluminium, but then we've also got tungsten. We've got some new textiles. There's some amazing textiles used in wing coverings, but also we've got the materials used in cockpits, materials used for uniforms. If you start there on the science side of material science, there's fantastic stuff. You've also got a need for engineers. You need practical engineers who get their hands covered in oil. You also have got the practical skills needed in building aircraft, something which we enjoy doing. But you've also got air traffic controllers. What an important role they hold. You've got the people who clean the runways, mowing the grass. I've mowed airfield grass so many times. It is so important to do it right with the right equipment, and understanding airfield management. I mean, proper airfield management is an absolute skill, and it would be lovely to see more young people coming in and taking an interest in managing airfields, the wildlife around airfields, the runway, the runway end safety areas, understanding all of those things. Because for me, being a pilot, I do enjoy flying, but I also enjoy FOD walking a runway. I enjoy building planes. I enjoy washing planes. I enjoy writing programs which interface with aircraft engines. I enjoy installing engines. Every aspect of aviation has so much potential for young people, regardless of their backgrounds. Again, we've got airline catering. We've also got catering at small airfields. These are essential aviation jobs. Pilots and engineers need to eat, and toilets. We've always got the honey dipper, the guy who empties the airline toilets. Not the most favourite job, but a very important one. You've got all of the scheduling. You've got the air marshals in some countries. And of course, over here, we have the load masters who work on the commercial aircraft and all aircraft, where we're working out the mathematics of where to put loads. So yeah, there's just so much to get young people involved in. And every airfield, in my opinion, should have a young engineers club where you get young people in, whether they build a rudder or they build a toolbox or they work out how an engine works, where we've got people who can share that knowledge. Now, swing that back around to the COVID scenario, where because of COVID, we might have people who have been retired now who are at the airfield looking for things to do out in the open air. Maybe we could have aviation ambassadors who are prepared to have a little, like a speaker's corner soapbox, to answer questions from young people about how aeroplanes fly, how engines work. We could share so much knowledge that is in this institution we call general aviation, or aviation in general. That's very, very different, but the whole thing is that we've got an opportunity to share, and that passion that those of us in the industry have to pass on to the future generations. We just need now to grasp that opportunity as we're slowly getting back out into society, so that we can ensure that in the future the British aviation industry flourishes. It doesn't just survive, it flourishes. And that together we can light the fire for engineering, aviation, material science, everything else in that next generation.